totally gonna use that.
Please do. That wasn't even my best move.
What's up, everybody? Today I'm with my good friend Charles Allen. Charles is an author, he's a potter, he's an awesome dude. It's just like overall coolness happening right now.
Standing outside, waiting for you. You were always taking time, baby, playing it through. I was calling out your name, with my eyes on the wall. You were running like a ghost from me.
We reconnected not too long ago after I realized he's doing this awesome stuff with pottery, and I wanted to have him on the show to talk with him about it. This Friday he will be doing First Friday at Chapters Books and Coffee and Tea. He'll be at Chapters on Friday for First Friday, and he'll have his work there. He'll be talking more about it in depth, and if you want some pieces, you could take them home. What got you started?
Yeah, it was a random senior year decision to kind of like fill in an elective spot. I took pottery kind of on a whim, and I don't know, there was something like really earthy and kind of emotionally satisfying about it. It just felt really good to be involved with.
Talk to me about this teapot and what we're using to drink tea, because it looks a little weird. So there's obviously a story here. Tell me about it.
Yes, so this is a Japanese style of teapot, where this is a handle, it's not a spout. But the Japanese developed it so that they could pour multiple cups of tea for a lot of guests in a short time with relatively low stress on the wrist. So instead of cranking your hand this way, you just rotate your wrist to the side.
Gotcha,
And
more
so you could
ergonomic.
Exactly, yeah, you can just pour like a million cups of tea all in a line with no stress.
Is this a certain type of flower that you have on here?
I think it was supposed to be a rose.
It looks like a
Rose.
Japanese lotus flower.
Let's go with that. This is one of the ones that I've made more recently.
Nice.
Just kind of a fun little whimsical.
Yeah, that's a wild handle.
Yeah, it was a surprise, but it was super fun to make. Just to experiment and try new things that I've never thought of before.
You were telling me a little bit about these bowls and how you don't call them sets, you call them
Families.
families.
All of these pieces are unique, even if they're made all at the same time and they're supposed to be kind of like similar or multiple of the same thing. And even if they're intended to be together, there's something that's like individual and unique about each one.
For sure, for sure. Even though they're like shaped mostly the same, each one's gonna have their own characteristics when you put them through the glaze process. One might be a little bit crazy. There's always one in the family.
That is true.
If there's not in your family, it's you.
Dum dum dum.
This isn't a process of like, you could finish this pot in one day.
No.
Do you have an idea as to like how many hours you spent making this?
Oh gosh, I would say from start to finish, I would say maybe 8,
8 hours.
give or take, yeah.
Where do you see this going? Because this has obviously been something that started more as a passion. You're moving into selling these pieces, and you should, because they're amazing.
Thank you.
Where do you see this headed?
A sort of crazy dream that I have would be to turn this into a business that would allow me to purchase some property. I have hopes of kind of creating a retreat space that I could have in Yamhill County at some point, and then travelers or groups of people could come and use that as a space to like get into nature and just sort of have a space that they can use to sort of rest and restore.
That's not a dream that just like comes right away. What inspired wanting to have that retreat center?
In one of the books that I wrote about this cabin, and that was the initial version of the house that I have now that I've kind of designed. So it grew from like this really tiny cabin into this rather sizable like 5-bedroom manor on an estate with like gardens and kind of amenities where people could come and experience nature in a way that's restorative and unique to them. It definitely felt too small to just keep to myself.
Yeah.
And it felt a lot more meaningful and rich to be able to kind of expand it to where others could be part of it.
Okay, well, Charles, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on my show and explain what you're doing here. Like I said, Charles is going to be at Chapters this Friday for First Friday. It's from 5 to 9 p.m. It's one thing to see these here. You can tell how cool they are, but it's a whole nother experience to pick one of these up and really look at them and just see how unique each one of these are. So Charles, again, thank you. Real quick, where can these guys find you on social media?
I have an Instagram where I display the work that I do, as well as the process of making it. And that's just Crew Ceramics. I also have my Etsy shop as well, if you wanted to check that out. If you can't make it out to Friday and still wanted to see some of these, it's also just Crew Ceramics on Etsy. You can search there. And
Awesome.
see.
You'll see those somewhere here on the screen. I'll link them up below as well. See you all Friday.